Alright, what is going on, guys? It's Prod by Jaco here, and today I'm gonna go over how to make beautiful melodies, or how to make piano melodies, just like those nice piano melodies. You know, you could say these are any type beat. You could say they're some for Youngboy, for Roddy, Ricch. You could really say anything. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go in depth on chords and top melodies and structure and even like EQing and mastering. So you're definitely gonna want to stick around for this video. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So I have this grand piano loaded up from Nexus. Let me just make sure I'm recording first. Okay, so I got this grand piano loaded up from Nexus. So let's just go to the piano roll. My BPM is 150. I would recommend anything from 130 to 165 works. But yeah, so the first thing I want to go over is helpers. So these helpers, as you can see right now, I'm in D. But you can really pick anything, any scale that you want to. But pretty much these helpers help you stay in the scale. So each of these highlighted notes, you can see like these two notes are highlighted like lighter, and then there's a dark note, a light note, dark note. So each of these light notes are the notes that are in the scale that you selected. So each of these notes will help you, each of these notes will sound good together. And I think like my headphones are off, so hold up. Okay, yeah, my headphones were off. So, all right, you guys. So, the next thing that I want to talk about is bass notes and bass line. So, I start most of my piano melodies with my bass line. As you can see, this note is a little bit lower. So, pretty much the bass line is just the base of all the notes. So, I'm just gonna start and build a pretty simple bass line. So as you can see, my bass line is built. So the next step is we're gonna highlight these notes, hold down shift and click them to make a copy and send them up an octave. So the reason that we did that is because now we're gonna build our triad chords off of these notes, because these are more like in the range of sound that we want. So our bass notes are down here, and to have the bass notes with our chords is gonna create a more full melody. It's gonna sound fuller, with more attention and all of that good stuff. So our next step is going to be to create triad chords. So to do this, we're going to use our highlighted notes that we went over with our helpers. So to create a triad chord, you skip a note, place a note, skip a note, place a note. So this is our first triad chord. And then we're going to follow the same technique to build triad chords off all the other ones. So this is our chord progression. So it sounds very nice, very simple. If you want to switch it up, you can add a seventh or even a ninth, if you're feeling like you want to have it be even more full. So this would be an F sharp minor chord with a seventh. And you can even add a ninth with that. So yeah, completely different feels, but we're just going to stick with our triad chords. The next thing that you can do is you can transpose the notes. So what that is pretty much, so I'm going to highlight this middle note and send it up an octave. So we just transpose that note. Transposing is pretty much just sending the notes down and switching the octaves around. So this is what our chord sounds like, so just listen to this. If we transpose this note up an octave, it creates a completely different feel. So this is what we have now. So I just transposed all of those notes up an octave, and it created a completely different feel. I'm going to keep them down here just for the purpose of the video, but keep that in mind when you're making melodies. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is adjust the velocities. So for the bass notes, I'm going to turn them down a little bit. And then for the chords, I'm going to keep them up. And then you'll see what I do with the velocity for the top melody right now. So we're gonna get into the top melody. So when creating a top melody, you want to stay in your scale, meaning that you can just stay with these highlighted notes. You can go out of scale, but I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you really know what you're doing. So I'm just gonna stay in the scale. So let's just create a top melody. So as you can kind of hear, this is a really awkward like step up. So it's kind of like it just sounds weird. So in order to fix that, we're gonna add a grace note. So a grace note is kind of what makes the melody sound more quote unquote beautiful. So pretty much you can go in whatever you want. I just say in line, and you can use the trick that I'm gonna use right now. So to jump to this note, we're going to place a note right below it on the next note in the scale, and we're going to hold Alt, and we're just going to make the note small, and then hold Alt again to shove this note over. So this is what will sound like. So pretty much what I just did is I copied the same grace note over and just put it in a different section. So we have a very, very basic top melody. So we're gonna select our whole top melody and grab all the notes, and we're just gonna bring the velocities up, and we're gonna have them be a little less than our chords, but a little more than our bass notes. So this is gonna be our top melody right now. So what I just did is I selected all the notes, and I just held Alt and scrolled on my mouse to bring the velocities down even more. And I just did that to create a more soft feel for the piano. All right, so lastly, I'm going to select all the notes, do Alt R, and mess with the velocity. So this is just going to randomize all the notes to just humanize the melody a little bit, and then I'm going to do Alt S to strum it. And you'll be able to hear what this sounds like. When you do this, make sure preserve end is checked. What that does is it's just going to make sure that these notes don't go over the fourth bar, so it does create a full loop. So this is what we're sounding like. Okay, so the last tip that I have is if you're not liking what it's sounding like, we're going to use our transposing trick like we went over before by selecting all of the notes. And then you can, so pretty much you want to hold shift, and then you can send the notes up or you can send the notes down. I recommend doing, 2 or maybe 3 or even 5. But yeah, so for example, if I want to transpose this down, maybe like 3 to create a more darker feel, or this is what we're going to sound like. So as you can see, that creates a completely different vibe for the whole entire beat. And so yeah, and then the last thing, I know I just said the last thing like 20 times, but the actual last thing is EQing. So pretty much for the pianos. So here's a tip for all beat making. You always want to EQ out the lows out of your melody to leave room for the 808 in any type of bass that you have. But for the piano, since we added the bass notes, you don't want to EQ out too much of the lows. So usually on a melody, you would want to EQ out lows from anywhere, like from here, around here. But for the piano, as you can see, if we do this, it sounds really weird because we cut out the bass notes, so you want to just bring it down and EQ out less of the lows than you normally would. So that sounds good to me. We still EQ'd out this low, all these low frequencies down here, even though there's not very many, and we kept the lows of the bass piano. Alright you guys, so that's gonna do it. Today in this video, we went over how to make beautiful melodies, or melodies for Youngboy, Roddy, Ricch, any of those guys. Yeah, what you can do is you can layer this with a pad or add vocal chops or anything you want. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and follow my Instagram at prodbyjaco. I would highly appreciate it. So yeah, peace out.